Earlier this week, DJI sent me the Mini 2. Why? Because I sent them a lot of money. This is a sub 250 grand drone, and here in Canada, you do not need a certificate, a pilot certificate, in order to fly this for recreational or commercial use. If you're using it for commercial use, you can still use this. It used to be in Canada, there was a differentiation between recreational use and commercial use. And for any commercial use, you needed a pilot certification, but you don't need that anymore. That being said, if you add anything to this drone at all, weight-wise, like if you add a light and you want to fly at night, that's going to take it over 250 grams, and you will need a basic pilot certification from Transport Canada. There are a lot of videos on YouTube from professionals who have tips on like how to get more cinematic footage, how to fly like a pro. But in the under 3 hours that I have been flying, what I have discovered, what I've realized is I'm not a pro. I'm not even an advanced flyer. So this video is gonna teach you how to fly your drone like a beginner. Let's get out to the field. Okay, so that didn't go as planned. Tip number 0, always make sure you have your SD card with you. I bought a 256 gigabyte micro SD card, which I thought, you know, it's great. Never gonna have to leave the drone, except to take the footage out. And of course, that's what I did, and forgot to put it back into the drone. So what might be a good idea if you're new to this, instead of buying a giant SD card, would be to get 2 that are half of that, or just get 2 giant SD cards. Whatever works for you, get more than 1 SD card. Rookie mistake. We're gonna make them. That's what this whole video is about. My first tip is to ignore all the videos on YouTube that are trying to teach you how to fly your drone like a pro. Forget that idea. We have to learn to master the basics. So learn to fly first like a beginner, then you will become a novice, then advanced, then an expert, and then maybe a pro. Worry about getting your, I don't know, I was gonna say flight legs, but that doesn't make any sense. Embrace the fact that you're new to this. It's gonna take time, and it's going to take a lot of practice. Practice, practice, practice. So that's tip number 2. Get out there, get flying, get the drone up in the air, and figure out how to use this thing.
So I just tried doing some orbits around me, really bad, not good at all.
You have to practice if you want to get good at anything. Get out there, practice deliberately, try very specific moves, practice doing those moves and those maneuvers. You'll never be able to fly like a pro if you don't first learn how to fly like a beginner. Tip number 3, stay close, but keep your distance. So stay close to your drone, but keep your distance away from other people. Go to a wide open area, a park where you're allowed to fly drones, a public golf course that, you know, may be closed, or after hours, go after hours when there aren't people playing golf. These are really small. It is so small. So when it's up in the air and being gray on a cloudy day, this is very difficult to see. Also, don't hover your drone at eye level. Spinning propeller blades and eyes do not go well together, especially since this drone only has sensors on the bottom here. These are not sensors, these are vent intakes. When you're taking off and landing, make sure the wind is at your back and your drone is in front of you. Keep yourself between the wind and your drone. So the wind is blowing this way. If a gust comes along, it's gonna blow your drone away from you. Tip number 4, practice taking off and landing manually. Get yourself one of these. This is a launch pad. It's great when you're on tall grass, sand, dirt, gravel, whatever. This puts a layer between your drone and the ground. You don't want your propeller blades kicking up dirt, getting in and gunking up your drone. Once you've mastered taking off and landing on the launch pad, practice launching and landing on other surfaces as well. When you are taking off and landing, have the drone facing forward. That way, when you're on the control and you push left, the drone goes left. You push forward, drone goes forward. You and the drone then are sharing the same perspective. If you're facing yourself and you're like, whoa, it's a little close to me. And you push your stick forward, the drone's actually gonna come this way. But luckily, you're not gonna have the drone at eye level, so it's not gonna hit you in the eye. It's just gonna go over your head, right? Because you're a smart beginner. Tip number 5, turn on all the grids. Turn them all on. Learn to fly with all the grids on. When your gimbal is pointing straight forward and you have a single point perspective on, 2/3 and a crosshairs, you know that spot right in the middle on your display is exactly where the drone is going to go. If you're practicing flying around trees, if you cannot guide the drone through those obstacles, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a disaster. When you start to film and shoot, you'll already have the grids on and you'll be used to it, and it'll help you line up your shots as well. Just turn them on, keep them on, easy peasy, don't worry about anything. Number 6, and this is gonna go directly against a lot of the expert advice you see on YouTube. Practice flying at high altitudes. Why? Because there's not much up there. Also, when you're at high altitudes, it looks like you're going a lot slower than you are. Get the drone up and look at the ground and navigate from a bird's eye view perspective and getting yourself oriented. The best place to do that is not at ground level. It's up and above the obstacles that you might be worried about hitting. Also, bonus tip, get DJI care immediately. Flying at altitude, the higher up you are, often the more wind there is. The wind is just whipping along and you might get wind alert warnings in the app, and then you might have to bring your drone down. Number 7, learn to fly and control your drone over straight lines. So if you're over train tracks or over a parking lot, point the gimbal straight down, learn to fly and get nice continuous shots. That helps you practice being very fine with your moves, and then use Cine to keep your movements slow and really fine-tuned. All right, tip number 8 comes to us courtesy of my good friend, Kevin Tom, who's been flying drones for a number of years. And that is to get the drone flying in a pattern around a stationary object. A tree trunk is great, maybe a radio tower, maybe use yourself, but fly straight, turn left, straight, turn left, straight, turn left, and then go the opposite direction, straight, right, straight, right, straight, right, straight, right. And this helps us learn to orient ourselves in relationship to the drone. If the drone is facing us and we push the stick left, it's gonna go to our right. So we wanna get used to how the drone is gonna react in the space in front of us when we're looking at it. Once you've been able to nail squares, move on to doing orbits, single orbits, with maintaining that perspective of that object in the middle of your frame. And keep doing that orbit around and around that stationary object until you get good. This really helps you learn to control your drone manually. When you're doing this, go slow, put it in Cine mode, and really take your time. Then you can work your way up to other faster modes and speeds. That is a very important skill for us to have. Thank you, Kevin, for that excellent advice. Tip number 9 comes from my personal experience and this clip. So what I did wrong here was not only was I flying backwards and I couldn't see if there was anything behind the drone, but I also immediately shot the drone up, and I could have put it right into a tree. So what I want to do, and what I have been doing since I shot that clip earlier this week, is every time I go out, I'm practicing hitting the emergency pause button, which is if you just tap the return to home button once. So I'm flying around, pause, flying around, pause, flying around, pause, because I want to train myself for that to be my initial response. I don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction and destroy my drone. I want to be able to stop, assess the situation, and then figure out what to do. My last piece of advice, tip number 10, is to separate your imaging tasks into separate flights, at least for now. If you want to take some photos, go up in a flight that is specifically for photos. If you want to take video, go up for a flight that is specifically for video. Focus on one thing at a time so that we can get used to dealing with that one thing at a time before we start trying to multitask on multiple flights. I think we'll get past this one pretty quickly, but I think it's a good place to start, when we're brand new to this. So let's not try to complicate our processes. Let's keep things simple and separate our imaging tasks into separate flights. When I'm doing a flight specifically for video, I actually hit the record button before I take off, and I don't stop it until I've landed. And that creates one long clip, which I can then break up into sections and subclips and subsequences. So I don't have to worry about whether or not I've forgotten to hit record. I've got a lot of space on my micro SD card that's in the drone, so I don't have to worry about running out of space. Hit record, let it run, land, stop the recording. And that's it for this episode of Studio Builder. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this and you found this to be helpful and useful, please give it a thumbs up. Bonus tip number 1, don't fly backwards near ground level. If you look at YouTube and search for drone crashes, most of the crashes are because people are flying backwards and they can't see where the drone is going. And the drone can't see where it's going if it doesn't have the sensors or obstacle avoidance sensors. Tip number 2, bring some snacks. You're gonna get hungry out there. Bring a drink, bring some snacks, and enjoy your day. Have fun. That's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.